What is up, you guys? I'm Charmx. Today I'm going to be reacting to my thoughts on the science fair brackets I didn't like it by the Odd Ones Out. I haven't reacted to an Odd Ones Out video in quite a while. Hopefully it's going to be pretty awesome. I never liked doing science fair projects. I remember I know I did at least one. I think I did a couple of them. And I never really liked doing them that much. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you are in kind of like the same position. But anyway, with that being said, the original link's in the description. Make sure you guys go subscribe to the Odd Ones Out. Without any further ado, let's begin.
Science fair. I was talking to a friend saying, oh, I know.
Oh, I wonder what friend that could possibly be. I wonder what, look at that, freaking Ari.
I can do a video about the science fair and, you know, talk about how much it sucks. And she said, oh, at my school, we didn't do the science fair.
What?
That got me wondering.
Freaking lucky. Also, why couldn't you just say it's Jaden? Obviously, it's Jaden.
Did other people not do the science fair? So I did my own science experiment on Twitter. I ran a poll and asked you guys if you even did the science fair and whether or not you enjoyed doing it. And 58% of you said you didn't have to do the science fair. Like, that was way more than I expected.
That is a lot of people. 58% said they didn't have to do it. I'm surprised so many other people didn't have to do it.
That's the majority. I've renamed this group of people the lucky ones. And when I asked if you enjoyed doing it, 21% of you said you did enjoy it, and 21% of you said you didn't. I know Twitter polls aren't the most accurate sources of data, but I think it's safe to say that this is a pretty split issue. Now, I'm in the 21% of people who didn't enjoy the science fair. And don't get me wrong, I love science. Well, okay, that might not be true. I really hated biology and chemistry. That was just a mess. But
oh, chemistry is awesome though. Chemistry is awesome though. That's where the fun stuff happens. That's where the fun stuff happens. But yeah, I don't like biology all that much.
Physics was okay. Maybe I don't like science. I just like space and watching these. Bill and Neil, they're my buddies. Except Neil did hurt my feelings one time. We'll get back to that later. All right, so let me briefly go over what the science fair is for you lucky ones who didn't have to deal with that. Apparently, it's a very American thing, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, I Hate Everything's from London, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we started doing them, I want to say around 4th grade, and we would do this every year up until the 10th grade. The whole class would spend all day researching a topic that interests them, and then we would have to come up with a question that we could run an experiment on. An example of these questions are, does the temperature of a battery affect how long it will last? What color light produces the most heat? How does the shape of a rocket's fins affect its travel? All of which are projects I did. Basically, this was supposed to teach you about the scientific method, but what it really did was teach us how to procrastinate and make up data. And on paper, you might think, oh, that sounds like fun. I wish my school did the science fair. No! Here are some flaws with the science fair. First, you got the option to work with a partner. And of course
And you never want to work with a partner. You never want to work with a partner. Well, I mean, I think James is going to say you want to work with a partner.
Want to work with a partner so you can split up the work and not do as much.
No, because the partner's not going to pull their weight and you have to do it. I've ranted about this before. I hate having to work with, like, partners and, like, group projects. Because normally, partners in a group project do not pull their weight and you have to do everything. And it makes everything so much freaking worse. Now, I mean, if it's the same amount of work, whether you're doing it alone or with a partner, then maybe doing it with a partner is better. Because even if they don't pull their weight, you would still be doing the same amount of work. So at least if you're doing it with a partner, there's potential for them to do something. I don't know then.
Now, since I didn't have any friends, I would partner up with someone that no one else wanted to partner up with. But they wouldn't do any of the work. I only did the science fair with a
What'd I say?
partner once. From 5th grade on, I did my science fair projects alone. The second problem is that we had to come up with a question all on our own. And you gotta understand, we were just kids. We don't think as cognitively as scientists do, okay? Just a couple years ago, we still believed in Santa Claus. Except for me, my family didn't do Santa Claus. And now you want us to wonder if the ratio of a cylinder will affect its buoyancy? Like, come on. And also, we don't have access to any resources. You know, the science fair is a lot like an episode of Mythbusters. But what sets apart the Mythbusters from your average...
What sets apart, you know, the Mythbusters from a 4th grader is that the Mythbusters have, you know, they have an insane amount of money from the studio backing their, experiments.
4th grader is that they're really smart engineers who have access to explosives, while we can't even drive to Walmart ourselves. We have to ask
I had never thought of that. They are engineers too.
Our parents to take us. One year, I wanted to do an experiment on a certain type of soil, so I did research, I wrote everything all up, but then when I went to Home Depot to buy the soil, they didn't even have it! So I had to pick a new topic and start all over again. Now do you see why I think the science fair sucks? So okay, I think it would have been better in elementary school if we were assigned a question. I know the whole point of these things is about discovery, but we're all stupid, okay? I guess if you were anything like me and you chose a crappy question, you'll have a bad science fair. My very first science fair, after all day researching possible questions, me and my partner came up with a question: what time of the day is the hottest? Now, I already know the answer to this question, and in 4th grade, I'm sure
I actually kind of want to know the answer. I always thought it was around lunchtime, but I think actually it's probably around 1 to 2 hours after lunch.
I knew the answer to this question too. It's noon. Like, I don't need to
Oh, is it?
run an experiment on that. In fact, I can just go to Google and seriously just type weather and boom, there's my data right there. No need for an experiment. But the science fair isn't just finding the answer to your question. No. First, after you research the topic, you have to write a hypothesis. A hypothesis is basically you guessing what you think the result of the experiment will be, but you don't write it down as I think this will happen. No, you write it like you know what's gonna happen. A formula science, for a perfect hypothesis is if blank then blank because blank. Let's use my battery experiment. I said, does the temperature of a battery affect how long it will last? So after doing research about how batteries work, a hypothesis for this experiment would be, if 2 AA batteries are used at different temperatures, then the battery in the hot temperature will not last as long because the battery's fluid will evaporate, which damages the internal structure of the battery. Oh, and spoiler alert, no, it doesn't.
Is that wait, no, it doesn't work? I was gonna say, is that actual, like, fact?
Doesn't. I put 2 batteries outside, 2 in the freezer, I let them sit, and then I plugged them into my Game Boy Advance, and they lasted the exact same amount of time. I learned nothing. So you also—
Wait, so you put them in the Game Boy Advance, and you let the Game Boy Advance die, and you, like, tested how long it would last? Because what you could do is get, like, I don't know, they have these weird gadgets where you get, like, 2 little spiky things, and you put it on the ends of the battery, and it'll tell you how much power's in the battery. I think that would have actually given you more of a solid answer than putting them in a Game Boy Advance. So, you know, if you had that, you could test how much power was left in the battery. So you do before putting it outside or in the freezer, and then after, and comparing the result.
You also have to write up the materials you use for the experiment. Then you have to write up the steps to do the experiment, the procedures, and you also have to write an introduction, basically just bullcrapping what you're going to do. Then you do the experiment, aka the fun part. Make sure you write down your results because you have to make a graph. You have to. How do you make a graph to show that batteries at different temperatures lasted the same amount of time? They did. You think you're done, right? But no, you gotta write up the results as if your graph didn't already perfectly depict that, and a conclusion. The conclusion is like the most insulting part of the science fair. You basically go through this checklist of questions that you answer. Was your hypothesis correct? No, my hypothesis was not correct. What mistakes could you have made in your experiment? I don't know, maybe I took the batteries out of the cold and hot and put them in a room temperature Game Boy, and in a couple of minutes they both went to a room temperature. I don't know. How can others use this information you found? What do you mean? All the batteries lasted the same. I don't think anyone is gonna put their
Yeah, no one's gonna use that information. Wait a minute. How could that be, though, that the batteries would last the same? You know, if you stick your phone outside on a hot friggin' day, and it gets really hot, it won't actually work. Like, I had my cousin do that. He had his phone outside, and it was really hot. I don't know what he had it on, but a warning came up on it saying that it wouldn't work because it's too hot and it had to be cooler. And I think that was like a battery problem. So something obviously has to happen.
Batteries in their freezer to have literally no effect. Alright, and then you take everything you wrote, print it out, and then slap it onto a poster board. And everyone, and I mean everyone, would use construction paper as a border around the text to give the poster board a good aesthetic. I think the second most fun part of the science fair was choosing what word art font you would use for your title. Oh, and by the way, the teachers told us to have a creative title to catch people's attention. Like, that was part of the assignment. We
Clickbait.
got graded on the title. Basically, they were telling us to create puns for a grade. If you're doing a project that's measuring plant growth, Ready, Set, Grow, that was a very popular choice. And then everyone took their poster boards and presented it in front of the whole class. Those were the 3 most boring days of science ever, except for the day you presented. That was the most stressful day.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh. Friggin' worse. I hated presenting things in school. Didn't matter what it was. Getting up in front of people is the legit worst. I can't do it. I have so much anxiety talking in front of people or in front of a class. Even though, like, right now, I'm talking to a bunch of you guys. but you're not in the friggin' room with me. So right now, I'm alone. But in school, when you got like, you know, a large amount of people staring at you, I can't take it. I cannot take it. Oh, I get all like shaky, my hands are sweaty. I'm not gonna do the rest of that song.
And then after all of that, everyone in the school put their poster board up in the cafeteria, and you know, then it was fun to walk around and see how other people decorated their poster board, and you could always tell whose mom helped them. So overall, I didn't have a good time. Those 21% of people who did enjoy it, I'm glad you liked it, but me and the other 21% of people think you're huge nerds. And when I asked that Twitter question, I had some people messaging me saying, yeah, I got 3rd place and all I had was a cup of dirt, ha 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 ha, and that made me wonder, wait, it was a competition? So I think the key to a good science fair is to come up with a good question and also do a topic that you actually enjoy. One science fair, I did an experiment on rockets, and I had a blast.
Really?
Would have been a good title. But for another year, I did what color light is the hottest. I just shined a lamp at a thermometer and switched out the bulbs. I know I'll let Neil say what he thinks about that whole project.
Okay, red light is warmer than blue light. Interesting discovery, but not exactly revolutionary.
Thanks, Neil. Yeah, just completely discredit all my research. I'm fine. So, moral of the story, if you need an idea...
I was kind of wondering at the beginning when he said that Neil did him wrong. I was like, how? How's that possible? Well, there you go.
Idea for a science fair project? Do it on rockets. You don't even need a question. Just launch model rockets.
Anyway, guys, I hope you liked this video. This is quite enjoyable, and I can relate a lot with this. And I had to do the exact same things when I was in school. I friggin' hated doing this stuff in school. Like, we gotta research stuff. Oh, it's friggin' the worst. And then having to present it is the worst part of all because of my anxiety problems. I hated it. I hated it. And, you know, it seems as if what the school was trying to do, you know, by doing the science fair or all these projects, it doesn't make a difference in the end. Because, you know, it's kind of like doing a test in school where you do something and then you just kind of forget it, you know, in a year or so. So, a lot of the things you don't even remember or you don't even keep with you. So what's the freaking point? I don't know. Anyway, I hope you like this. If you did, give it a thumbs up, possibly share with a friend. If you're new, subscribe, join the family. Also, make sure you guys go subscribe to the odd ones out. On that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Boop.